Okay, so I was a bit slow on the recording, but it's going now. I can never quite seem to get it perfect.
Would it basically say accessible?
Sorry, I meant to remind you at the beginning of this call or check if you were, but good thing you caught it.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so we've got Salmon Landscape. Okay, looks like everyone's pretty much caught up. And hey there, AMW Fund. So if you want to jump in, just follow the data sheet that's linked in the TEC Lab channel. Go ahead and open that up.
Oh, thank you.
And what we've done so far is, and then you're going to open up that second link there. That's the Python lab. And you're going to fork it and then clone your fork that you've created. And are you comfortable doing that, or is that new to you?
Yeah, I'm fine. Thank you.
Oh, okay, great. So yeah, go ahead and fork that and then clone a local version. Okay, so I think everyone is making progress. So we're going to go ahead and I see that Jeff is ahead of us. So go ahead and, okay, so now we're going to want to open up Jupyter Lab. So I'm going to activate a virtual environment, and we can talk about that in a moment. There's lots of different ways to do this. On Windows, I imagine you're probably using Anaconda. Or if you're using some other method, go ahead and we can discuss that. Like Lansky mentioned, he's using a virtual environment, which is a standard Python technique. Now, I use a wrapper. I actually use the fish shell, so I use this little utility called virtual fish. So for me, it's virtual fish activate, and I have a virtual environment called the commons. Now, this isn't totally necessary to use virtual environments right now. If you guys have Jupyter installed either globally or through Anaconda, then that works fine too. And if anyone does want to pause here and like, what's this virtual environment thing, and you want to create a virtual environment, we can do that too. So I've just activated mine, which I have called the commons.
I'd love to know what is a virtual environment. I never use it. I use fish, but...
Oh, that's so great that you use fish. Okay, so let's start with the basic virtual environment. So I think it's virtual env. Oh yeah, virtual env. So see if you have this command, which is virtual env, and if you don't have that, then I think you just want to pip install it on your globally on your system. So virtual env. So it would be like pip install virtual env. And so mine's telling me that I already have it. So then you go virtual env. And then I think we just give it a name. Now I haven't done this for a while because I use that virtual fish wrapper, but we could call it commons environment. Yeah, so that's going to create a folder locally. And what's in that folder is it's a contained Python environment. So it's going to, let's see if we check what's in the bin. So it has a whole instance of Python there. And then it's also going to save all the libraries in the lib directory. And
That's great.
Yeah, it's great. So you can have a contained Python environment for each individual project. And then to activate it, we go source. We use the source command. And then commons environment, bin, and there's a little script called activate. And so interestingly, this isn't working for me right now because I'm in the fish shell, I believe. So if you are using fish, then I highly recommend this. It's called virtual fish. It's super cool. It saves all your Python virtual environments in one place in your home directory. And so the install directions are right here on the main page. And I'll just link that in the TEC Lab channel.
Wait, then you just need to deploy. So you sort of like reconfigure this virtual environments, and then you just deploy new instances of them at will.
Yeah, exactly. So this is just a little wrapper around. So it's using the virtual env underneath, just the same as you would normally, but it does a little bit of house cleaning because so I say virtual fish or VF new, so I can create a new one, and let's say like test. So it creates a new virtual environment area in my like home directory, I think there's like virtual envs. So yeah.
Yes, dot virtualenv.
Yeah. So these are all my virtual environments. I have so many, and it just keeps them all organized here. And then wherever you are, you can just use this virtual fish, like deactivate to get out of it, or virtual fish activate. And then in fish, there's like really good tab complete, so I can see all my environments, and I can pick which one I want to activate.
Oh my god, this is amazing.
Yeah, it's super, super cool. And then you can also, what I really like doing with this is it has a function called, okay, so I'm going to go into the Python lab, and I'm going to go virtual fish, activate my commons environment. Does not, okay, what, commons is what it's called. And then you can use this virtual fish connect. So this drops a little file called .venv, and it just names the virtual environment that I like to activate when I'm in here. So then I can have no virtual environment activated, and whenever I go into that directory, it automatically will activate my virtual environment, so I never have to worry about it.
What the fuck? This is amazing. I'm absolutely using that from now on.
Also, everyone should be using the fish shell always. It's so good, like the autocomplete. And if you get the FZF reverse search plugin, you can like fuzzy search all of your past commands. It's super useful. So I'm thinking about doing one of these labs just on like workflow in the terminal, but let's not go too far down that rabbit hole now. I'm wondering if everyone is able to run a Jupyter, run the Jupyter environment in the directory that we've forked and cloned. So, and if anyone's stuck on that, just let me know now.
Yes, which command should I use? I have like the environment, I have already run a few Jupyter notebooks in my computer, but I don't know, like for example, if I open something that comes with Jupyter, it opens correctly, but I don't know how to do it right now in this project.
Oh, okay. So do you use Anaconda?
I'm not sure. I have downloaded it, but I'm not sure if it's using it.
So my weakness is always the Windows environment, which I tend to be very not so familiar with. So Jeff, I might get your help on this one. Like if you've cloned a repository or you have a workspace that you want to work in,
I'm not on Windows though.
With what's that?
I don't know if you were telling me, but
oh, I was asking Jeff. But Tonga, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah.
Because
no, I was asking which command should I use to check or to see that
the virtual environment.
Yes. No. Okay. Let me share one sec.
Sure. Hey, so for anyone who's joined in late, just go ahead and open up the datasheet that I shared in the TEC Labs. And also open up the Python Lab repository. And the first step is to fork that repository. So you just hit the fork button in the top right, and that'll create an instance of it on your GitHub account. And then you want to clone that fork. And if you get stuck or if you don't know how to do that, just let us know.
Oh, can you see my Visual Studio Code open or?
I just see sort of a wallpaper, I think.
Yeah. Maybe now? No?
No.
I think I should add initially properly.
So for anyone who is not familiar with GitHub, I'll just, while Tonga's getting his screen going. So on the top right, okay, so we got 5 forks. See, this is awesome. This is what I'm excited about with this lab. We can really get our GitHub stats up. So
It's all a ruse.
yeah. Oh, everyone star the repo while you're here too. So yeah, if anyone sees my screen, this is the first step, fork the repository, and that's going to create an instance of it on your personal GitHub, and from there you want to clone it locally. And probably on Windows, you're going to use that using the desktop, the GitHub desktop client.
So don't worry, I think it won't load, but it's okay. I think I'm okay.
Okay.
If I understood correctly, I think if you're inside of the virtual environment and or somewhere where you already have Jupyter installed, I think the command Jupyter Notebook should get you there.
Okay, we'll try.
Yep, or Jupyter Lab is the newer version, Jupyter Space Lab. But Jupyter Notebooks are cool too.
Yeah, it didn't work.
Hey Jeff, how are you? How's it going for you? Do you have it running? In fact, I know you do because you checked it off in the data sheet.
Yeah, I've got it in VS VS Code. I'm actually not doing that. Why I took a miss on the fish and the other thing. I'm not actually working from the CLI. I use GitHub Desktop to pull in clone repos.
Okay, good. But then from there, are you able to open up a Jupyter Notebook?
Yeah, I have it open in VS Code. Oh, sorry, wait. I have the README. I pulled the Python lab, right?
Yep.
Is there a Jupyter Notebook in there?
So there's no Jupyter Notebook. So the exercise is to create one. So we want to get the Jupyter environment going, whether that's Jupyter Lab or Jupyter Notebook. So I wonder if we can do that. So is anyone, like any data scientists here that work in the Windows environment? How can we open up a fresh Jupyter Notebook if we don't have one in the repository yet?
I did look into this last time, but I don't remember what I did.
Okay.
How to create
I think that you just type Jupyter Space Notebook.
a Jupyter Notebook within. Let me do a quick Google search and see. In terminal?
Yeah, like even in Visual Studio Code, in the terminal in Visual Studio Code, that might work.
Yeah.
Also, what I would imagine would work is if you open up Anaconda, the Anaconda interface, and then in there, if you can navigate directories, like if you could go into the repository that you've cloned and open up a Jupyter Notebook there through Anaconda.
I don't usually use Anaconda in my regular workflow. I did install it going through the CAD Edu course just to double check and make sure all the steps were there. But that wasn't part of my workflow when I first started in CAD. So I'm going to see, and I don't think I used it last time to create a Jupyter Notebook. So I'm going to tinker around a bit and see if I can do it right in VS Code. But yeah, I can open up Anaconda.
Okay, well I can make this easier too. There's a shortcut. I can just add,
I'm trying to remember how I did it last time.
I can add this notebook that I just created, and I'll push it upstream, and then everyone can pull, and then there'll be a notebook in there. So we should be able to just double click it and open it, And meanwhile, we'll have to solve this cold start problem with Jupyter notebooks. Whoops. Okay, that was a short commit message, but that's okay. So I'm gonna get push. Let's see, push main. Okay, so now there is a simple Jupyter notebook in there, and you'll see I just put YGG. So this is the idea. I want everyone to create a new Jupyter notebook and just use your name or anything you want to name it, but make it unique. And so we'll get to this point where we have a repository where everyone has pushed a notebook. So it gives us this like collaborative workspace where you can always pull this repository and you'll get to see what everyone else has been working on. And you'll have your own little workspace there that is your own personal notebook. And so it makes it an easy way to share code and see how everyone else is progressing. So if I'm just going to double check on GitHub and make sure, yep. So if you check the repo on GitHub, you'll see that there's a Jupyter notebook in there. And if you clone, we've already cloned. So if you pull the updates to the repo, then you'll have this on your local machine now. So now the exercise is pulling, and you should be able to do that. It should be straightforward in the GitHub client, or if it's on the terminal, you're just gonna go git pull origin, and the branch is called main.
I guess it's not origin anymore since we have been forking it, right?
Oh, good call, yeah. So we can check what our remote is. So git remote -v. So I have origin, which is pointing. Oh yeah, it will be origin if you cloned it from your fork. But if you didn't clone it from your fork, then it might not be origin.
It will be origin. People tend to have origin, but
I
if
know.
they want to pull, they will need the URL from that is easy.
So I'm going to create a pull request. So this is the end goal, is everyone's going to create a pull request to merge their notebook upstream. So I'm going to merge this, create a template notebook. So I'm merging from my fork into the main TE Commons Python lab, which I've just done. So now my notebook is in the main upstream Python lab. Now, Sem, this is the interesting part. You're right, because everyone's origin is going to be their custom fork. So we might need to add the upstream, or what's the easiest way to pull changes from the upstream?
If we want to do it, usually the best thing is to do a git remote add upstream.
Yeah.
And the URL of the code.
Good.
Which can be the URL, not the SSH. Well, actually, if you have,
right,
it's okay. But it could also be HTTPS blah blah github.com blah blah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Okay, so then I can go git pull, for example, upstream main. Okay. So everyone's going to want to follow these steps. And this is how you do it in the terminal. And in the Windows desktop client, I'm not sure exactly, but you should be able to go into the settings for your repository, and there should be this option, which is the remote options, and there should be an option to add a remote.
Maybe the interface is better, and it also tells you which is the remote. I don't know. Never use it.
Yeah, it might be simpler. Yep.
A very simple way, which is I just how I did it is just I pushed it up to my fork, and then from the UI from the web UI, there's a little button that says create a PR, and I just did that.
Yeah.
So that might be easier for somebody that doesn't want to change the remote upstream, etc.
The thing is that we are pulling the changes that YCC did. So it's not about
yeah, that's
creating
right.
records.
Cool. Gotcha.
It's about pulling the new changes.
Yep. Okay, so let me add a column here. Okay. So this is pull upstream. So let's add remote upstream and pull changes.
What is funny to me is that I did that, and then when I do git pull, it doesn't add the last file. I don't understand.
Okay, Tonga, can you do this git remote -v?
Yes. Yes, I have TEC Commons Python Lab.
And
As the upstream, right?
That's upstream, yes. Should I switch to that maybe?
Okay, so just try this git pull upstream main.
Yes, done. Thank you.
Great.
Okay, so it sounds like people are having some success pulling from upstream. And now we also want to do the pushing your notebook. So once you've created a local Jupyter notebook, you're going to want to add it and commit it. So I've done this already. I've pushed mine. But yeah, you're going to want to add. So it's git add the file. And then you're going to go git commit and -m for message, and you can write a message in here, like created a notebook. And then you're going to go git push origin main, and this will push to your fork. And then you can go on GitHub and make a pull request. And this is also, so far we're doing all GitHub stuff. I do want to get into some Python work, but I think having this foundation is really cool because it allows us to all be sharing a workspace where we can push and pull our research notebooks into a single repository. And so if you're able to push your notebook to the fork that you've created. Yeah, I see 6 forks now. then you should be able to open a pull request. And that, if everyone does a pull request, then we can merge all our notebooks into the upstream. And we can see that we can have them all there. And so for now, I'm going to go back into my notebook, which I believe I have running. Yep. So that was here. And I'm going to start with some general introduction to Python. But in your local notebook that you're working on, feel free to write anything and add any sort of anything that you feel comfortable with. And for now, I'm going to go into about a 15-minute introduction to Jupyter, the Jupyter workflow. I'm sure everyone is somewhat familiar, but there's a few workflow aspects that make it a lot smoother to work in. So the first thing that I want people to understand about Jupyter is it is a modal editor, similar to Vim, if you're experienced with Vim, which means you can be in different modes, which might sound complicated, but it's super simple. So right now I'm in a cell, so I can type some Python code like a=2, so I can set a variable, and then I can print that variable, of course.
We're on. Oh yeah, there we go.
I
was only seeing the terminal. Sorry.
Okay, you see the notebook now?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
It might be my connection. Sorry.
Okay. So if we hit, once you're in a cell, if you hit escape, then you jump out of that cell and you're actually now in navigation mode. So this, you can do a whole keyboard-driven experience, workflow experience in Jupyter. And once you get the hang of this, it can really speed up the development process and make it a lot more fun and lower the cognitive load. So just practice this for a bit. Like enter brings you into a cell and escape brings you out of that cell. And so this is like going from edit mode to navigation mode. And once you're in navigation mode, you can move up and down using J and K. So these are Vim style movements. And the idea of Vim is your fingers never leave home row. Everything you do on your computer, you do from the home row position on the keyboard. So it makes everything really efficient. But just practice a little bit being in this navigation mode and going up and down with J and K through the cells. And then if you want to go into a cell, you hit enter and escape to get out of that cell. So that's the first thing to learn. So let me write that. So then we can also transform a cell into Markdown by hitting M for Markdown. So I'm going to say first thing to learn is modal navigation. Okay, so it's like press enter to enter edit mode on a cell and press escape to enter navigation mode. Okay, so now we have some Markdown going. So what was the next thing I mentioned? Oh yeah, Markdown mode. Markdown mode. So while in navigation mode, press M on a cell to transform it into a Markdown cell. And then also press Y to transform it back into a code cell. And then running a cell. Press Shift Enter to run a cell. And then the final piece that's important to know is creating cells, creating and deleting cells. So press, oh, so it's like while in navigation mode, press A to create a cell above above, or B to create a cell below, and press DD to delete a cell. So once you know just these 4 things, it becomes really fluid. You can get a whole keyboard-driven workflow. So you can create a cell below, you can enter that cell, bring in pandas, you can create a data frame. Is there like random dot data frame? And shift enter, and then we can delete these blank cells, and we can, okay, so shift and moving highlights cells, and shift M merges cells as well. So I'll add that. Merging cells. So holding shift while navigating cells highlights them, and pressing shift M over highlighted cells merges them. Okay, so that's the basic Jupyter Notebook navigation that you need to know to make things super smooth. Now I'm gonna do a little super like basic, this is probably everyone in this call is beyond this point, but I'm gonna do a super basic introduction to Python. So I'm gonna make this a markdown cell and say Python introduction. Okay, so the first thing to learn about Python are the types. Types. So the basic types are strings, or I guess the first thing to know is a variable. So we can define variables. My variable equals 27, or you can say x equals, and Python is loosely typed, so you can set x to be like a string of words, and then you can later set x to be the number 7, and that's no problem. Now we can print x, and this is the whole advantage of the Jupyter Notebook workflow, is you can write one line of code at a time and then immediately inspect and double check that it is what you expected it to be. So the main types are essentially numbers. This is an integer. It could also be a float if it had a decimal, but basically numbers, strings, lists. My list equals 1, 2, and we can mix lists with different types. So this could be a cool cat, and then we could even have another list inside of a list. Okay, all legit, and we can print that out. And then we can iterate over lists. So I'm really jumping through. This is like a whole introduction to Python in about 7 minutes. So, but I think most people will already be familiar with most of this stuff. I'm just gonna plop it all down in this notebook here so that everyone has it as reference. So you can iterate over lists. So for item in my list, we can print our item. Okay, so we get to see all of the items in our list. Good. And that's really the essential to get started. We also have things called dictionaries, which are really important. So my dictionary equals, and we just use this curly brace syntax, and it's a key value pair. So very similar to the idea of JSON for anyone coming from the world of web. So you can say, let's see, tokens is like, I don't know, could be a number, 147, and then a comma. So then we could say community members is like, say we have 25, and like current task is to learn Python. And so that's a dictionary. It's a key value store, which is a fundamental data type across basically all programming languages, and we can index it by a key like this. And so is there any direction that people would like me to go from here, or does anyone have questions, or is this super basic, like everyone knows this? Or is there, are we getting to a point where some people might say, oh yeah, this reminds me of this piece that I don't understand about Python, or I would love to learn. Oh yeah, so one thing might be like imports. I think this is where most of the power of Python comes from, is importing any library. So we could say like, oh yeah, this is a cool example. This came up on my GitHub feed the other day, and I wonder if we could spin it up in 2 minutes. GitHub dydx Python. So I just saw the other day that dydx, which is a decentralized exchange, they released their Python interface. So let's just showcase a bit the power of Python. So we can just install this right here in line in our notebook. And is everyone familiar with dydx?
Yep.
So, okay, cool. So I'm seeing already this might not work because I think, let's see, it wants a private key. Create a new client with a private key. So I might have to sort of register on the protocol and integrate a private key. But so this might not work right off the bat.
Question from a noob. If we imported something that we haven't imported into the virtual environment, that wouldn't work, right? Like it would have to be in the virtual environment first.
Yeah, you got it. You got it.
Install, yeah?
So
Yeah.
now the cool part is here, because we launched Jupyter from our virtual environment, we're operating inside of that virtual environment. So when we do this right here in Jupyter, like pip install, it's going to install it into that virtual environment. So without leaving Jupyter, I've just pip installed that, and now I can go import dydx. Let's see, how did they do it? From dydx.client, import client. I'm just going to try their private key that they have in the example here, see if that would possibly give us access. No. Unauthorized URL. So later today, I'm going to sign up for this dydx and get this working. This looks super fun. But I just want to, I hope everyone understands the power of Python is in the very quick access to libraries that we can install on the fly and import very easily. Like a good one for getting, like, that I play around with a lot for getting financial data is Yahoo Finance, Python. See how fast we can do this. GitHub. Now I do want to have a few minutes at the end to talk about future labs, so I'll try to keep what I'm doing here to just a few moments. So this Yahoo Finance, so it's Y Finance. So I'm going to try this pip install Y Finance. And so then we could use it. So let's try this. Okay, so in like 2 seconds, we've just gotten the historical financial time series for Microsoft going back from today until 1986. So now we can, I really like a visualization library called hvplot. And so you might have to pip install that, pip install hvplot.
Hey, Sean, I have a question.
Yeah.
So can you get any frequency with Yahoo Finance, or is it only like a certain type of frequency?
Yeah, no, not all frequencies. Perhaps hourly, I forget. Let's see, what do we got here? So let's check so yf dot ticker, and we can introspect it like this. So it has no doc string, unfortunately, but you can also get the source code inline. So for anyone who doesn't know this is an awesome, very powerful trick in Jupyter. If you ever want to know what some function does or some class, you can just instead of calling it like normal with the parentheses, you can just put a question mark, and you'll get all the documentation that comes along with it. Unfortunately, this one did not have any documentation written, but if you put 2 question marks, you get the full source code, and so you can see, like, you can read in about what it does and what parameters it takes. But yeah, this Yahoo Finance is limited by frequency. I think it might just be daily, if not hourly. But so very quickly, now that I've updated this notebook, I'm going to add it and push it upstream so that everyone can see it. And ideally, everyone makes it through this process where we all push our notebooks upstream and get comfortable with that so that we can be sharing our work. So I'm going to git add my notebook and commit, added some documentation on Markdown and basic Python, and an example of loading financial data using Yahoo Finance. And then I'm going to push that to my origin. So this is my fork of the repository. Oh, that's a poll. So git push. And then I'm going to go to that repo and create a pull request. Let's see. And this will merge it upstream into the TE Commons repository. Okay. And so now that updated notebook is there. And anyone can pull that and take a look at how to load financial time series. And oh, I was almost going to do some data visualization here, but that'll have to come later, or maybe someone can fill this in. Because what you can do, you got to be careful with Git and Jupyter Notebooks, because Jupyter Notebooks, they're actually JSON files, and they're not very friendly to version control because they change often. So they'll make like incorrect Git changes. So the way you solve that in this sort of environment is just everyone works on their own Jupyter Notebook. And so if you see something that someone else was working on and you think it's awesome, just go ahead and copy that code into your own notebook that you're working on. And ideally, we can get everyone pushing. So let's see. Oh, we have a pull request here. Awesome. Lansky, yes. So this is what I was asking Jeff at the beginning. I'm not sure the process for getting everyone. I did notice that TE Commons has 29 members. So I'm not sure if we can get everyone to be a member of the organization, because once you're a member, it gives you access to like merging in these pull requests, which is really nice. So I'll check in with Griff. Griff will know all about that. And so now we've got Lansky's Playground. Yay, this is awesome. Okay, so in 3 minutes, I'm gonna, okay, so it's a blank notebook, but I'm sure there's gonna be beautiful things happening here.
I'm gonna push the new one now.
Oh, cool.
I did that before.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool, yes. Okay, so we have 3 minutes. So I guess I just want to direct everyone's attention. I'll link this. This is sort of the organizational TEC Lab worksheet that we can fill in all the future dates. So we're going to have labs every Friday, and I want to get volunteers. So I guess the most important thing that I want to get out on this call is I would like to start a sort of committee, like a lab committee, of people who, so that we can have like a midweek meeting, even if it's, I think just 15 minutes should be enough, but maybe up to 30 minutes, where we just, whatever lab session is coming up this week ahead, we can just make sure we all are on the same page, and we can kind of guide it. And then just some help for scheduling future labs, because I think Sem is still in here. Sem, I would love for you to do some labs on I mean, I think there's so many things you could do, even if it's just examples of usage. So you going through like the voting, like dandelion voting, more topics that are really related to the token engineering commons, like what we've been building out with the voting, or even if it could be a development process, like things like that. So we can chat a bit offline about possible future labs, but I think there's so many different people that would be able to showcase really cool stuff. So that's the direction I want to go with these labs, is like highlighting everyone's specialties, and everyone can run a lab at different times. But I think it just needs a little bit of coordination now at the start. So I'm wondering, for everyone on this call, is anyone interested in like joining a committee that would meet maybe midweek for 15 to 30 minutes to just do a little bit of coordination on setting up future labs? Basically meeting every week for 15 to 30 minutes.
Yeah, that sounds good.
Okay, sweet. That's Nico.
Yeah, depending on the time, I'm into.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And I can bring this up as well. I can pitch this quickly at one of our weekly syncs on Thursdays, in case someone outside this call would be interested. So, okay, that's,
I gotta.
Yep.
I was just gonna say I gotta jump over to a CAD infrastructure call. I don't know if anyone is interested, but we'll be meeting in the CAD Discord, talking about some of the tasks that are moving forward on infrastructure admin working group for CAD. So if anyone is interested, we'll be over in the CAD channel. But yeah, I gotta jump and manage that. So eager to stay in the loop on how the lab progresses. Keep me posted, Sean.
Absolutely, Jeff. Thank you. That call sounds super interesting. I know it's also the Ocean Protocol Study Group, so I'm going to join one of those too.
Yeah,
I might
fair enough.
them. Okay, thanks, Jeff.
Cool. All right, chat soon. See you guys.
Okay, awesome, guys. Thank you for joining. This is so cool. Sem, we can have a chat at some point about future labs that you can put on. I'll just reach out to you directly. And,
for sure.
Yeah, and Tonga and Nico, we'll set up a time sometime midweek next week to just rally on some coordination stuff.
Cool.
Thank you, YGG.
That was super
I love
helpful.
Awesome. Yeah, I want to see
Uncle Iro is the best.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. Sweet. I want to see everyone's notebooks in the repository. That would be so cool. Everyone's playgrounds. That's the dream.
PR done.
Oh, nice. Okay, thanks everyone. I'm probably going to jump in the Ocean Protocol study group, or maybe I might check out the CAD infrastructure. That sounds pretty important too.
Yeah.
That's a hard choice to make.
Dude, that sounds awesome, but it's like a music festival. It's like, okay.
I know. Yeah.